Right, so last night the big head-to-head over the new Fareham and Waterlooville constituency took place as two current sitting Tory MPs, whose current constituencies are being amalgamated under boundary changes, took each other on to be selected as the Tory candidate for this new constituency. You will know, of course, if you saw this video of mine from the other day, that it was backbencher Flick Drummond set to take on refugee deporting dreamer, electric bill expenses claimer, second-hand migrant barge come prison ship filler, and grooming gangs are always associated with British Pakistani's trope spreader, Suella Braverman. Oh, she's also the Home Secretary. I almost forgot that. So who out of these two Tories did the Tories of the future constituency of Fareham and Waterlooville end up picking then? Yeah, Braverman survived. Her recent arse-kissing drive around the area has clearly worked, being based in her parents' house to do so, living rent-free there, whilst charging the permitted rental expenses anyway, and using it to pay her bills at her £1 million Hertfordshire home. Clearly this had no effect on the locals, however, but let's face it, she was appealing to the Tory faithful, not ordinary people, so such things evidently didn't gain a lot of traction. Braverman apparently won the contest by 77 votes to 54. There are other seats around that Flick Drummond can now contest for. That gravy train won't be something she'll want to give up, I don't doubt. So what won it over for those with skin in the game then? You look at Braverman of late, they've picked her. So does she represent the values of Tories, at least in this part of Hampshire? Deporting refugees, putting them in a barge to float off the coast of nearby Dorset, living elsewhere, claiming expenses within the rules but bereft of morality, ignoring white people guilty of grooming but joining her boss Rishi Sunak in blaming British Pakistanis for it. Breaking the ministerial code, the Leaky Sue debacle. Do you remember that one, which she resigned over, only for Sunak within days to restore her to the post, to keep his hard-right ERG faction onside, keep him in his job, because ultimately that is the only reason she still has this post. And despite all of this, she remains considered a credible Tory candidate going forwards. Ordinary people face the prospect of her continuing as their MP when she's barely fit to be considered flaming human. I mean, come on, Fareham. She even brought Lee Anderson with her to campaign. 30p Lee, for heaven's sake. Did this not make things abundantly obvious that here was the bigger wrong-un? Now, this was a contest, of course, between two Tories here. The Tory faithful are the only ones with any say in the matter. There's no good or right option for ordinary folk being presented, of course. But there is a compare and contrast here. Where we are more than familiar with Braverman's borderline fascist approach to politics, Drummond is from the other end of the scale, the more liberal end of the Tory party. Drummond has been, for example, broadly supportive of things like Black Lives Matter and rights for trans people, along with raising welfare in line with inflation. Oh, she also actually lives in the area. Unlike Braverman, there would appear to be sparks of humanity here, despite the blue rosette. She was on course to win not that long ago as well, so the shift comes from Braverman making an effort to be seen in her actual constituency for a change. People on social media who have her as their MP are outraged. One notable tweet I read was by an apparent lifelong Tory voter who has claimed she's done nothing for local people at all, calling Braverman as useful as used toilet paper. Another apparent local said they have no knowledge of local matters, and the neighbouring constituencies represented by Flick Drummond and Caroline Dinenage, who actually live in their constituencies, actually happen to listen to local people. But let's face it, though, the people voting in this contest have reselected Braverman on several occasions already since she was first elected in 2015. She's fought other general elections since then, of course. She's never been anything but openly hard-right in her opinings. Should we really be that surprised she's won again here? Now, you might have got this far through this video and thought, Damo, this is all doom and gloom. I thought this video wasn't necessarily good for Braverman. And yes, I'm getting to it. And that's because Suella Braverman has something of the Keir Starmer factor about her as well. And that is because, like the head of Team Keith, she's switching off people who would ordinarily be more than happy to get out and campaign for their local candidate. And one such person who has spoken out is a serving Tory councillor, no less, saying she would struggle to campaign for somebody like Braverman, who, despite being in the same party, she fundamentally disagrees with. The councillor, Caroline Brooks from Winchester, within the new constituency boundary, was asked by Matt Chorley on Times Radio. Naturally, being a Tory, it's the Murdoch media she spoke to, so apologies for that. But she was asked if Suella Braverman would you win this contest, which of course she did, would she be prepared to go out door knocking for her? And Brooks said, I would struggle. I disagree fundamentally with her on some of her views. The boat policy, for example, I struggle with the way it is being implemented. I absolutely agree that we need to stop the small boats, and I think that's fundamental to what we're achieving as government. And I'm not convinced that doing something that is borderline anti-international, looking after international people, I fundamentally do not think we should border and go, we think that it is legal because that jeopardizes our people who live abroad. Now, you can listen to all that and go, okay, this lady is a Tory, so she's not against stopping small boats. None of us, I think, are against stopping the small boat crossings. We just disagree over how to achieve that. The Tories want to criminalise it, but the only way it'll work, to my mind, is for a legal asylum route to exist once again and a new returns policy negotiated with the EU. But hey-ho, what do I know? I'm just a rotten lefty, aren't I? The boat policy she mentioned is in regards to that refugee barge scheme set to be moored off the Dorset coast, which, also being a staunch Tory voting area, is sparking off all manner of serious NIMBYism on their parts, and they're screaming about it. She's against the implementation of that, for which I read moor it off a Labour voting area instead. She also drew up short of calling Braverman's illegal migrants bill illegal in and of itself, when of course it appears to be nothing less than that, and arguably an excuse to see the Human Rights Act itself binned in order to deliver on this cruelty of this policy when the Court of Human Rights get round to telling the same, ranking this bill, if it passes into law, as completely illegal as we mostly expect them to do. There's no missing the point, therefore, that Councillor Brooks definitely is a Tory. But if she's the mainstream voice for local Tories, being in a position of local authority, as she is, then Braverman may struggle on the doorstep. Of course, that may just mean paying for leafleters, which is what the Tories usually do anyway. So will it make any difference fundamentally? The two constituencies being merged to Fareham and Meon Valley, basically both solid Tory voting areas. So ultimately, will that matter? Will this just be a new Tory safe seat as the boundary changes themselves have been overwhelmingly accused of being across the country? Does it really matter? Well, I guess we'll wait and see, but it doesn't look like we're getting rid of Leaky Sue anytime soon. Thanks for watching. If you appreciated this video, please do hit like and subscribe, leave a comment and hit the notification bell too so you don't miss the next one. Also, look out for me on social media and other interesting stuff by clicking on the Linktree link in the comments below, and I'll see you next time. Cheers, folks.